Just the way it goes. Just the way it goes. Degrees.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hookup on Music, episode 66. I am your episode host, Tony, and I am joined tonight by a dear friend that we've had a chance to watch some ball games together, Mike Griffith. Man, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, Tony? Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
No problem. Anytime I can get somebody to talk about any type of music, I am always game, and I appreciate you taking the time. Tonight is our second night in a row of just laying down some awesome music talk. And tonight, my guest, he has a very awesome radio show that we're going to get to here in a few minutes and talk about. But really quick, before we get into that territory and new music, I wanted to ask you, because when I reached out to you, is what's your earliest memory of music that you enjoyed?
Oh, gosh. So I come from a pretty musical family, I would say. So my mom plays piano. My maternal grandmother, she still plays piano in her church band. She's 86 and still plays piano in the church band. Awesome. My paternal grandmother, who is no longer with us. She didn't play any instruments, but she always had on. When I was a little kid, she was from outside of Paducah, Kentucky, so she was a big country music fan. So I have like early memories of being in her car, and she would always hum along to the songs. In her that she had on her tape deck, and one of my aunts is a terrific piano player, and I have an uncle who played in jazz bands around Chicago, played a lot at Andy's Jazz Club back in the day.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I have a pretty musical family, and I think that's where it all started. So some of my earliest memories are being a little kid playing in my room and hearing my dad turn on his stereo, which just to me, being three or four, probably five, something like that, just sounded like the thunder of the gods, because he would crank it up, and just hearing like the intro organ of "I Can't Tell You Why" just rattling my floor, and
oh man,
that and my mom.
Yeah. For a bit, what's funny is my mind works as like a musical encyclopedia, and for a second there, I'm like, where? Yep, there it is, right there. That's what you're talking about. I feel it.
And then just cruising around with my mom, younger, and she would always have on music in the car, and I just have this memory for some reason of her playing the Yes Big Generator album. So, which.
Earlier today on 103.9, the radio station that they have for classic rock out this way, they had actually a Yes song from Big Generator on. So it's hilarious. This is about the fifth time on the show the guest happens to just bring up something that I'd seen that day, and by coincidence, that's pretty awesome that you name check Big Generator.
Yes.
Very, 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 cool, and that's awesome. So we bring to the present here, and the radio. Give a little background on this radio station. How long have you been doing this now?
So I started with Chirp Radio I started as a volunteer last summer, so last July. And then in February is when I got approved to be on air. So I started in early February, going way back about 20 something years when I was down in Bloomington. I was invited to be on a radio show. So did a co-host radio show for a little while, 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. slot, which at that point in my life, it was a blast. I had a lot of fun, but it was also just pure chaos.
Overhearing, I had some friends that also at like Ball State and also at IU had at some point had a little bit of a radio, like a show, but it's like late at night. And I mean, you got to have chaos when it's late at night. So I could just imagine your show at 3 to 5 and it being pure awesome. Don't you wish you had some of those tape to listen to some of those shows?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe not.
Maybe so, maybe not. But it was a lot of fun. The guy who had the time slot after us wouldn't show up half the time. And so sometimes we would go from 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. And usually if we didn't feel like going on, we'd found this random CD at the station library from a band in Goat Whore. So
I've heard of that, yeah.
As far as I know, they didn't have automation at the time. So we would just throw in the Goat Whore CD and repeat and then walk away.
That's that is awesome. And that's kind of stuff that I think I'm a big proprietor for radio. So as soon as you just being involved, perked my ears up to say that that's awesome, number one. And number two, I mean, just your recent episode here. I mean, the span of bands that you're playing, everyone out there, later I'll share it and you can check it out. Definitely, you're bringing the goods, man. Like you said before the show, you're trying to make an eclectic, awesome mix, and I think you're doing a great job.
Thank you. And I think being a little bit later at night for the time slot I have currently, I think I have a little bit more freedom to experiment and play, kind of out of left field stuff, and just find really cool and interesting pieces of music that I enjoy, that I've discovered, that I think other listeners would enjoy as well. So it's it's great to be able to share the music in this medium.
You seem to be somebody that if it sounds good to your ears, that's what you're looking for. Like you have a very eclectic mix of sound, which is, again, just looking at this and seeing, Prince and Front 242 in the same thing lets me know that, you're willing to go at different, because I'm a huge Prince guy. And then I also have dug deep into the industrial front. So you could say that's what's cool about it. I've always enjoyed things like that, mixing it up.
Yeah, and definitely when I'm planning my sets, there's certain things like I want to get to. Definitely, for instance, like thinking about that set, I wanted to play Prince, and Sign of the Times is one of my favorite Prince songs. So, and he had just passed. It was kind of the anniversary of his death.
Yeah.
I still, for my time slot, I still call it Sunday, but it's technically Monday. But so we were still kind of in the day. So
I would never call it Monday because, well, who wants to say Monday? It's Sunday sounds better. To me, your Sunday night slot, and I think And again, you're digging into which we've talked about on the show. You dug into the new Judas Priest album.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? Which kudos, you know what I mean? Kudos to that wide range of play, which is what I think in the show and everything is what I look for, is that kind of range.
And too, with that, I generally try to anchor a set to something local at some point. So for instance, throwing Prince in with Front 242. Front 242 was released on Wax Trax, which
Yep.
is a legendary Chicago-based industrial. So yeah, that's generally how I try to think about implant sets, is to get things coming out of an odd place, but at the same time anchor things to local.
Now, where do you broadcast from? Do you broadcast from your house?
I go to the studio. So the studio.
And where is the studio at?
It's I don't know what the neighborhood is. It's not Wrigleyville.
But you drive. But like, that's honestly, that's even more cooler. Now I'm really getting the mental vision. You go in there and you record actually at the place,
right?
And that was a question I wanted to actually ask you live, because that's what I was figuring, that you went to the studio. So very awesome, just to be able to be down there from 12 to 4, doing the show.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and the setup there is fantastic. And we have the monitors in the studio that I had cranked up really loud on last Sunday with some of the stuff I was playing. So I have an absolute blast.
Now, are you predominantly in there by yourself?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I see the DJ before me for a minute or two, and then after me is automation. So that's the only person contact I have at that point.
One of my favorite late 1960s movies is Play Misty for me.
Oh yeah.
And just the whole radio DJ scenes in there. And it's kind of like that, he goes in and they just hand it off like that. In your head, though, people who aren't in radio, you think, oh, there's probably all these people around and this and that. No, it's a simple handoff. It's pretty cool.
It's yeah, one of the images I always kind of come back to is Jack Nicholson in The King of Marvin Gardens.
Yes.
At the beginning when he's doing his talk show, and it's just so like lonely and dark, and
yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's a blast.
But that's what's cool too, is that even taking movie roles like that and thinking of all the ones that are, in radio and stuff like that, it's cool. So it's cool to have that, and it's cool that you get to go and experience it in the studio. Like this Sunday, have you already kind of worked up what you're going to be doing, or what's going to be coming up? Or do you get in there and you just pretty much go off the top of your head type of thing? Or do you write it all down before you get in there? How's that work?
So I pre-plan about an hour and a half to 2 hours of music. And it's like, this is stuff that I found interesting, or stuff I didn't play last week that I kind of wanted to get to that I didn't. So I only really plan out my first set. And then once my first set is done, it's off to the it's off to the races. Yeah. Just I'll think of something and check if we have it in the library. If we do, great. If not, move on. So you got to think quick. You got to pay attention, because you have to make sure you hit your breaks on time. Do your live reads, do your announcements, stuff like that. So it all kind of is fluid, but you have certain markers that you need to hit. And so yeah, once that first set is done, it's going out of library rotation, making sure I start getting into the local artists, and then I play this song. Oh, what's a good compliment to this one? What's a good compliment to this one? Or, I just played this one. I was thinking about this one this week. I think this is a really good fit for this set, thematically or sonically.
I really like WXRT does it a lot, and how you're explaining this is kind of how I hear it. Is like some songs, the fade in is kind of sounds like the fade out, and they're able to get the faders to make it sound like they're the same song as they're like fading in and out of one of each other. And finding songs, as you stated, that complement each other. Just by looking at the set list and listening to it, that's exactly, I think you pulled that off really well. Recently, you're a big concert goer too. You seem to check out the shows when you can. You seem to have just went to one this past week.
Yeah, so I can't remember when the tickets. So it's a funny story about that. I'm sorry, I keep hitting my keyboard.
No, you're good.
Around.
Don't worry about that. You're good.
So I can't remember when the tickets for Waxahachie, the Salt Sheds show went on sale. But I was like able to snag those immediately, and then I had never been to the Salt Shed before, so that's a wonderful venue.
Did you like it? That was what I was going to ask. I've asked everybody who's been. I have not yet been. Hopefully this summer. But you think it's nice?
Yeah. You just got to get there early, or else you'll be kind of far back, and that may not be. So we were lucky to get like basically one body out from the rail.
Oh, cool.
So,
well, your pictures you posted, they looked amazing.
Yeah, I got one picture, which I think is probably the best photo I've ever taken.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I think. I wish every band I've ever seen, I was at that angle to see them, because I mean, I've seen bands that people don't like, that I didn't like until I saw them at that angle, and I was like, I saw something here, and I don't know if it's just that loud. But I used to say, and I think I even said it last night, I could be that close for like Yanni, and I could walk out being like, wow, man, this is the greatest concert ever, because you're just you're in it, and you're just like, I'm all big about the people around, like the vibe around me. So like, could imagining taking that in also. Sounds like it was an incredible show.
Yeah, and she's an amazing songwriter. I mean, her voice is incredible, and just what she's able to do sonically, like with her voice, and just how she plays, usually sharp or flat depending on the song. It's just it's a wonderful show. So but before that, I don't know how the hell I was lucky, but I got tickets for her record release show at the Empty Bottle, where she played the whole album front to back, and then played some songs off of St. Cloud for the encore. And it was really cool to see an artist like that in such an intimate venue like the Empty Bottle. And her band's really good. She has Spencer Tweedy is her drummer.
Oh.
And you can see a lot of the Glenn Koch influence on some of his drumming. So he's a really terrific drummer. And her bass player is a phenomenal. She's a phenomenal bass player. She is able to sing and harmonize with Katie just so well. And she's actually the bass player for. Are you familiar with Wise Blood? Who I was able to see last year for her when she was out touring in support of her new record. But the Waxahachie's bass player now is also the bass player in Wise Blood. And if you can sing with Natalie Merling, I think is her name, from Wise Blood, and Katie Crutchfield, you're singing in good company.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you could get any two to harmonize and it sound really, really good, and one is the person that everyone puts the spotlight on. I think, and you could hang on your own. Yeah, definitely. Do you have anything lined up that's coming up around the bend that you got tickets for yet?
I don't. I'm kicking around a couple of ideas.
Oh,
I saw AV Terror from Animal Collective is playing at the Bottle, and where I'm at now, that's the Empty Bottle's like 15 minutes from my house. So,
Oh,
um,
that's perfect.
but the one I'm really curious about is, um, so Pedro the Lion's playing at Thalia Hall in
Mhm.
playing in the round, and I'm not super familiar with Pedro the Lion, so I could take it or leave it. But Squirrel Flower is opening,
Mm.
and she's amazing.
Oh,
And I think you've talked about Squirrel Flower
yeah,
on the show before.
yeah.
So
Pedro the
there's
Lion, from what I know, again, is I don't know much, but I can't say them either way. But and that's have you been to Talia Hall before?
yeah,
How's
uh,
that venue? That's another one I have not
great.
attended.
It's
Is it
it's fantastic. So
like a lot of
and,
cool
and
shows have come? Like the National did like 5 shows there. A lot of bands come through there. Who's the band that just came through? Forgiving Tides was this track on their newest album, Deer Tick. You listen to Deer Tick at all?
oh yeah, that was
I think
a
they
solid
played.
album.
Yeah, that's very, very good album. Very good songwriters.
Mhm.
And that's generally, honestly, in most new things that I'm looking for new these days. I'm just looking for good songwriting. I'll take any genre as long as the songwriting is really, really, really good. Um, but that's here nor there because sometimes, it's at least in some of the more popular stuff, it's harder to find, let's say.
Yeah,
So you got to like dig, dig deep. And that's what's awesome about a lot of the artists that I've seen you play. And because not a lot of people talk about these bands and they should.
yeah.
Do you
Some of
remember
them are.
really quick what your first concert that you went to?
I do. It was I saw Bush and Veruca Salt.
Awesome.
um, I
So
don't
so
remember.
that's where you were coming from back then was the Veruca Salt. Those albums, those first couple albums that they had, that was a band. And Bush, actually, what's hilarious, again, you bring them up, is that on the radio coming to town with Candlebox, who was also big in the early 90s, and Jerry Cantrell. And
And
generally a lot of those shows you can go for like 10 or 15 bucks if you're willing to stomach some of that. I don't, but going to the Empty Bottle is a different experience than going to see Bush now. And that's cool. That's what's cool about it is getting that in some of those clubs. I mean, what would you say your favorite of all of? Would you say it's the Empty Bottle? You like Reggie's?
I haven't been to Reggie's.
Oh, you haven't been to Reggie's.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've heard good things about it. I've just never been
How
to
how
Reggie's.
about the Aragon Ballroom? You a fan of that place?
Uh, I haven't been. I
I've
haven't been
heard
to the
that from a lot
Aragon.
of people.
I haven't been to the Aragon in ages. And um, going back to
Yeah, no,
you
go ahead.
tying the conversations together here. So it's funny talking about Veruca Salt because Louise Post just played at the Bottle, which is great.
Yeah, yeah. Um, you a lot of like I what was it? Who did Adam was saying he saw someone? Did he say he saw Sonic Youth? No, was it saw someone at the Riv? Were you what shows did he say he saw? But that's neither here nor there. Here in the comments, someone was hoping that you said Hall and Oates was your first concert, or Till Tuesday. Are you familiar with Till Tuesday's work?
I'm not familiar with Till Tuesday.
Voices Carry is the song that they always
Oh,
play.
that's Till Tuesday. Okay, yeah, no
Voices
voices carry.
Carry. Amy
Oh
Mann, I
yeah.
think was the name of the singer. That's not a terrible song.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But really cool again is just the some of the newer music that has come out. What are some of the newer albums that you happen to pick up? Are you a record store day guy? Did you happen to get out for that at all?
I didn't do record store day this year. I just didn't see anything that looked super interesting. Like I
And it's
was,
really crowded too. I mean, it's
yeah,
a lot of things you can get. You can wait till the crowd goes down too. So
yeah, and anything I'm desperate for, like I'll track it down if I'm desperate for it. So
yeah, well, that's yeah. Do you is that your main? Do you do a little mixture of like? Do you play CD still?
Yeah,
Okay, good, because I do. And I'm not a.
I just ordered I just ordered a CD set. So one of the things
Cool.
that I was excited to play last weekend was a piece from this band they're called Ahmed. And
Okay.
and so what their CD set is a they recorded 5 nights in a row at this festival in Stockholm. And so they're a jazz quartet. So
Okay.
each night they played about 45 to 50 minutes of different pieces by a composer whose name escapes me at the moment. Let me um, dig it out here. It's in my notes. So once I say it, I just kind of download it somewhere else.
No.
Ahmed Abdul Malik.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
So he was a composer and bassist, and so they've taken various pieces that he wrote and
Mhm.
expand them out like 45 to 50 minutes. And so each night was, this piece, this piece, this piece. They didn't rehearse. There's no solos, just, organic music. Just this is what we're doing. There's no solos, but step up if you've got something to say and say it. So I was really excited to play the excerpt African Bossa Nova.
That's awesome.
So
I'll
it was a
check that out.
6 minute. Yeah, it was a 6 minute excerpt that I played, but the piece on the CD is about 50 minutes.
Yeah, I mean I want to hear this whole entire piece put together because your description of it, anything jamming like that and organic, I mean you'd sign me up. So this is again, you said Ahmed is the name of.
Yeah. The album's called Giant Beauty, and yeah, it's a really really fascinating piece of music. But as far
I
as
see.
CDs go, yeah, I just ordered that, so it's on its way from Sweden, I think.
How long do you think that's gonna take?
We'll see.
It's always hopefully soon. And when you get it, you'll have to let me know how awesome it is. Is there any, just looking back, who is, and you don't even have to answer because I'm kind of putting you on the spot. Is there any artist that you just can't get into? You won't be spinning them on your radio station because you just don't like them.
Not any particular artist, but there's definitely not going to be modern country on my.
And honestly, I don't know if I'll ever have. I mean, maybe one day, but don't know a lot of modern country fans personally that honestly could give me the goods of like. I mean, there's like some artists that are like buried. There's this artist, his name is Charlie Crockett. He's got some good stuff. But it's more in the vein of like Waylon Jennings and older sounding country, not the pop country that has been
Gotcha.
dominating the ever since Kenny Chesney started singing about the beach. He kind of escapaded everybody into kind of like this pop country, which I'm for you. Definitely or it was Achy Breaky Heart that could have got it started too. I remember when that first came out. But yeah, no, I could agree with you there. For me, just yesterday they had the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction of all the artists that were getting in, and A Tribe Called Quest is getting in.
Oh, amazing!
A Tribe Called Quest, a lot of quality work.
Oh yeah,
and but then at the same vein, Cher is getting in, which some people are like, why is Cher getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? I mean, I guess I Got You, Babe with Sonny Bono, but I don't know if is that rock? I'm not really sure, but it's interesting how those type of things work. But so this Sunday you'll have another show coming up. You said at midnight, right?
Yep. Mostly you can find it on chirpradio.org. But if you're within 2 miles of, if you're in Edgewater, within like a couple of miles of Edgewater, then you could get it on 107.1. But it's a low powered FM, so the radius is about 2 miles.
The final question, what I wanted to ask you before we kind of take off here was, off the top of your head, what is maybe a scene or two in a movie that's got some good music? Is there something that, when you go back into your mind of movies that you enjoy, that there's a musical piece or a scene that you enjoy because of the music that's in it?
So the first one that came to mind was definitely in Wonder Boys, when Michael Douglas and Robert Downey Jr., Tobey Maguire, they come back to the house from the party, or after the party, when they were out having, or they were rescuing Tobey Maguire from his house, and that's after the party. And I want to say that's when Bob Dylan's "It's Not Dark Yet" is playing.
Yes.
That's a phenomenal, piece of music for that scene.
I wanted to thank you, because for the longest time, I just wanted somebody to bring up Wonder Boys. I enjoy that movie a lot. I think it's, a lot of people haven't seen it though, for some unknown reason, at least new, like, and where Robert Downey Jr. is currently in his career, a lot of the Iron Man fans have not seen his performance in Wonder Boys. And I like that movie. I thought it was a really good movie.
It's one of my favorites, and the book is fantastic as well.
Book is really good. But thank you so much for joining me, Mike.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I really, really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody out there, for joining us tonight for episode 66. Please make sure that you check out Mike and his show at Chirp Radio. I will be sharing all of that, even as Sunday comes along and he posts that he's coming out. We'll be sharing that out there, because you're really going to want to check out what he is spinning. This Sunday, we have another At the Show podcast where we're going to be talking about awesome baseball movies. Right off the bat, Mike, before we leave, you got what's your favorite baseball movie?
Oh gosh, probably.
I know I put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's.
Are you a Natural guy? You like The Natural?
Natural's great. Major League is fantastic.
You ever see De Niro in Bang the Drum Slowly from 1972 or 73? You ever see that one?
I haven't, but I thought you were going to talk about The Fan.
The Fan, another great one. Benicio del Toro as my buddy, real quick before we leave, my buddy did a really great Benicio del Toro impersonation from The Fan. But great movie. But yeah, Sunday, everybody check that out. That's going to be at 2 p.m. Check out everything else going on the Sadistic Penguin Studios YouTube channel. And we will talk to everybody again soon. My name is Tony. This is the Hookup on Music, and we are very appreciative that you joined us tonight. Everybody, take care.